She had everything: a mansion, fortune, power. But when life ripped it all away, not a single friend stood by her. The only person who saved her wasn't a lawyer, a banker, or a partner, but a homeless man the world refused to see. From the penthouse balcony, Sarah Whitmore looked down on the glittering city. Skyscrapers rose like monuments to ambition, each one a reminder of her conquest. She was a billionaire, a mother, a woman who had built an empire from the ground up. To the world, she was untouchable, but behind her stood silence. The dining table, meant for 10, held one untouched glass of wine. Her son, Daniel, slept in the next room, unaware of the storm tearing through his mother's life. Divorce papers waited on the counter. Board members who once begged for her approval had voted her out. Banks froze her accounts. The illusion of power was crumbling. And Sarah realized she was standing on sand. The following morning, she stepped onto the street in a designer coat. Her heels clicked against the pavement, once a sound of authority. Now it echoed loneliness. People glanced, whispered. News headlines painted her downfall as entertainment calls to friends went unanswered. Her chauffeur, unpaid, never returned. Even her lawyer said, "Without funds, there's nothing I can do." Sarah felt the world closing in. For all her billions, she had no one to call, no one to lean on. It was late evening when she stumbled near a cafe, her mascara streaked with tears. On the steps sat a homeless man, wrapped in worn layers, his hands red from the cold. He didn't stretch out his hand for coins like others. Instead, he looked at her and said quietly, "You look colder than I do." Sarah froze. No one had spoken to her with kindness in months. She wanted to dismiss him, but something in his eyes, warmth, not pity, stopped her. She almost kept walking. Billionaires didn't sit with homeless men. But exhaustion pulled her down beside him on the concrete. Her manicured fingers clutched her handbag like a lifeline. "I've lost everything," she whispered. The man studied her, then shook his head. "If you can still worry about losing it, you haven't lost everything. Trust me." I know. His words pierced her armor. His name was Marcus. Years ago, he had been a carpenter, strong and proud. He showed her calloused hands, still bearing the strength of a builder. But his daughter's sudden illness had drained every dollar, every ounce of hope. He buried her with nothing left, not money, not marriage, not home. Grief consumed him, until the streets became his reality. Yet here he sat, his spirit unbroken. "You're only poor when you stop giving," he told her. "As long as you can give something, a word, a hand, a smile, you're still rich." Sarah's pride resisted. She was supposed to give charity, not receive wisdom. But something about Marcus's words clung to her. She returned the next day, bringing food and a blanket. Marcus accepted the food, but waved off the money. "I don't need your pity," he said gently. "Tell me about your son instead." That night, she brought Daniel with her. Marcus told him stories, tales of courage, of people who lost everything but found themselves again. Daniel laughed for the first time in weeks. Sarah's heart ached. A man with nothing had just given her son joy money couldn't buy. The days turned into weeks. Sarah visited Marcus often, learning more from him than she ever had from boardrooms. She confessed her fears, her anger, her loneliness. "You think wealth protects you," Marcus told her one evening, "but it isolates you. Real wealth is connection. Real wealth is service." She realized how blind she had been. She had funded charities for tax write-offs, never once looking into the eyes of those she helped. Marcus had nothing, yet gave everything he had left, his humanity. One morning, Sarah walked past a shelter she had always ignored. Marcus was there, fixing a broken wooden frame for free. She stepped inside and saw men and women just like him, talented, skilled, broken only by circumstance. For the first time, she didn't see the homeless. She saw builders, mothers, fathers, fighters. And then the idea struck her. Maybe she didn't need her old empire to start again. Maybe she could build something greater with them, With her last available funds, Sarah launched a small foundation. It wasn't glamorous. No gala dinners. No flashing cameras. Just Marcus teaching carpentry to others, rebuilding not just wood, but dignity. She used her business knowledge to connect them with contracts. Jobs poured in, small at first, then larger. A shelter became a workshop. A workshop became a movement. When reporters finally came, they expected scandal. Instead, they found Sarah beside Marcus, sleeves rolled up, building furniture with men the world had discarded. Why him? One asked. Her answer was simple. Because when I had nothing, he gave me more than I ever had. Months later, Sarah wasn't called a fallen billionaire anymore. She was called a builder, a reformer, a mother who rose again. Marcus no longer slept on the streets. He stood beside her as a partner, not a project. Daniel ran through the workshop, laughing with men and women who now had jobs, families reunited. Futures reclaimed. Sarah touched the scar of her past divorce, betrayal, loss, and realized it no longer defined her. Her wealth wasn't in banks. It was in lives changed, and whenever people asked how she had survived the fall, she told them, I was saved by a man the world ignored. A man with nothing showed me what it means to have everything.